about Escrima. This is an Escrima stick. It is 33 inches long and 1.25 inches in diameter. You will see on the stick various marks. This mark is the centre mark. This mark and this mark are the outside marks. The stick has been made for training purposes. You need to understand that if I say long stick, you hold your hand on the outside of the mark. If I say short stick, you hold your hand on the inside of the mark. This implement can be used for self-defence or attack. Now, in a self-defence situation, I can use that as a fancy walking stick. But if I use it as a weapon of attack, I am carrying an offensive weapon. This is an offensive weapon if you intend to strike somebody with it. The basic strikes are to the head, to the collarbone, to the shoulder, to the elbow, to the wrist, and to the kneecap. You will notice I always come back to the recovery position. So it's head, collarbone, shoulder, elbow, wrist. I've blocked the right, he comes with the left, I've blocked, the stick goes across the back of his neck and I take him down there. I've blocked the right, the left is coming over, I've blocked, the stick goes behind his neck, I pivot to my left, taking him down. Recovery position, ready for strike. The next move is defence against an attacker who has grabbed the wrist of the hand which is holding the stick. I swing the stick over the wrist, thus. Catch hold, step back and pull towards the ground. My attacker goes down. I then develop power along the stick by pulling and holding the stick back with the fingers of my left hand. I release, strike, and over he goes. Has grabbed the wrist which is holding the stick. I flick the stick over his wrist, using the same movement as I would use if I was striking. There, I come underneath my own arm and clasp the stick on top. Do not clasp the stick that way. Always come on top. Step back and pull. The opponent goes down. Develop power by pulling on the stick with this hand and holding back with the fingers of this hand. Release when you're ready, strike to the face, and your opponent goes down. Another basic defence against a wrist grab. Opponents grab my wrist, I spin the Escrima around, clasp my opponent's hand so that he can't release the hold, place your Escrima stick diagonally across his arm and onto his jugular vein, and then apply pressure and take him to the floor. From here, I step around and extend the lock. Second one, my opponent would again grab my wrist. I anchor his hand. Swing the stick over into the same position as it was in the previous move. I then bring his hand this way. From there I've got an absolute controlling move. I can take him this way, backwards or down. This time my opponent has made a straightforward grab at me. I anchor his elbow, bring the stick over, onto his collarbone, anchor on the stick, apply pressure downwards with the hand that's anchoring the stick, and at the same time lever up there. Again we've got an absolute controlling move. Move, Sensifoy. We will now do the move again. You will notice I'm holding long stick. As my opponent grabs me, I transfer to short stick. Across the collarbone, anchor and apply pressure. This time we're using the stick against a straightforward single-handed shoulder grab. The opponent's grabbed and he's pulling. I flick the stick over, take hold on the top, apply pressure, step back and take him onto his face. Now from here it's quite simple to break the grip, strike to the ribs and the kidneys. This time my opponent is grabbing me in a straightforward shoulder pull. I anchor a hand so that he can't release the hold, go with the pull, place the Escrima stick across the jugular vein, opponent down, straightforward shoulder push, anchor, jugular vein, pivot and strike. Two-handed push. As my opponent pushes, I pivot with the push. Bring the stick across the back of his head, turn, strike. This time your opponent has grabbed you around the neck. Bring the stick over onto the side of his neck and apply pressure downwards. As he goes down, anchor his hand and step forward. If your opponent has grabbed you around the neck, on the side which is holding the stick, the move is different. I bring the stick out and around and apply pressure that way. An alternative to the last move, if he has grabbed you around the neck on the side which is holding the stick, is this. Bring the stick all the way over here and kneel down.